Okay, that's cool, that makes sense. But imagine this, because you maybe not have before, and you really are going to want it after I describe it to you. That sounded like I was talking about my penis. I'm going to start over.
In honor of the game Cuphead, there's this beautiful indie game coming out. They had a trailer at E3, Instant Boners. We're talking about cartoons we'd like to see developed as indie games. My choice has to be in a cartoon you may and may not have heard of it. I assume you haven't heard of any of these things by now. There's a cartoon called Steven Universe. Steven Universe takes place on Earth, and there are these girls called the Crystal Gems.
This one seems a little weird because it's been made into a game several times, but I'm gonna go with Dragon Ball Z. They've come out with Dragon Ball Z games, and they were fighting games. They had this Kinect game that was terrible, and then they had like the other games that were like there's super convoluted combat, and you'd like start apart from each other, and there would be like the powering up time and stuff.
There's one, and it's kind of obscure and old, and you probably didn't see it, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. It's a cartoon called Dino Rider.
That makes sense.
So like, the bad guys had a T-Rex, they were called the Krulons. What an amazing name, right? Because cruel and then on, they're like Klingons, only Krulons! Krulons are a thing. And then they would meanly brainbox the dinosaurs, and then attack the good guys, who were the Valorians, I think.
And then you could have, like in the Marvel vs. Capcom series, you could have the switch out function. So you could have like your little Pokemon trainers in the background, and they're actually like throwing the Pokeballs back and forth. It would be, it would be fun. I want to play as Bellsprout and just like Vine Whip everybody. You ever Vine Whip? Yeah.
The gameplay, I imagine it'd be like Castle Crashers or Scott Pilgrim, but not the Paul Robertson graphics, but smoothed out and just beautiful. And the way it works is you play as Steven or Pearl or Garnet or Amethyst, and you're traveling through this universe, and you start off in like the beach, and then your dad gets kidnapped and you gotta go rescue your dad and fight your way through the different stages. Pearl is more of a distance character. Garnet has these big fists and she's just all up in the mix. And then Amethyst is more of like a melee distance character. And then there's Steven, who is average and kind of unpredictable.
And I've actually watched a Mugen tournament, and it's kind of weird because there's all these characters from all these different worlds in the same game. It's kind of like a fighting game fan's dream. But basically these guys recreated a ton of the old DBZ characters, and the game is awesome. It's just this 2D fighting game. It's very simple, but the combos look super complex and awesome. Visually, it's very true to Dragon Ball Z, and it just looks incredible.
The end result was awesome laser dinosaur battles where guys would charge at each other and fire lasers like pew pew pew, shoot out his brain box. It's like pew pew pew. I want that pterodactyl taken down, and that's what I want in an indie game.
Let's say there's only basic Pokemon to choose from. So let's say you're Bulbasaur and you're like leech seeding away, and like you're doing good, you're kicking their ass, and like you have a little meter that's building up. And every time you get to like the second level, then all of a sudden you can like evolve into Ivysaur. And then if you're like doing like ultra combos all over the place, you get to your third level, bam, you evolve into Venusaur, and you're just like ground stomping all the Pokemon coming through. It'd be a lot of fun.
And eventually you find your dad, and who kidnapped your dad? Oh no, it's Rose Quartz. It's his mom, and she's possessed by this other. She's possessed by this other demon, and that's the whole thing. You as Steven take the crystal gems, and you're trying to rescue your dad, and it's this whole big adventure.
They have like the awesome like rushdown moves and the teleports and the Kamehameha and Kaioken and all the cool that you wanted to see forever in a Dragon Ball Z game, and just hasn't been there. And instead, you just get Kinect bullshit.
And the T-Rex definitely needs a crunchy. He comes in and eats you and picks you up off your Stegosaurus or whatever you're riding and eats you. And then, if the dinosaur loses its rider, the dinosaur should then rampage around the battlefield. It's now its own entity, so it's killing anything that comes into path. The Triceratops is like, oh no, I've lost my rider, now I'm going to kill anything that I see. Stab with its Triceratop horns.
Let's switch it up. Let's get a fresh developer in there, new eyes, new people. Let's redefine what Pokemon can be. Let's do it.
It's just a really fun idea because I'm a big advocate for imagination and magic and exploring worlds, and this would be perfect. And there aren't enough beat 'em ups that are just fun and imaginative. They're just turn your brain off and turn on the fun.
That's the game that I want, created by some sort of indie developer. Give them the rights to do it. These guys did an awesome job. They can definitely do it. And I think it's a good proof of concept what they've already created. So let it happen.
Dino Riders. It would be awesome. It would be the best indie game ever. ever made ever based on a cartoon, based on a toy, based on awesome.
I had this idea back when I was like 10 years old. I thought Pokemon was great. And I had my Super Nintendo. I was like, what if we had like a Pokemon fighting game on the Super Nintendo? And now here I am as an old man saying, why don't we have this yet?
Wow, some of those cartoons would be really weird as indie games. If you guys want to see us run around Comic-Con and have some wacky adventures, check out the latest Why We're Single. Or check out Button Bash with MatPat from The Game Theorist as we take on some Mount Your Friends.